Hi everyone, and welcome to another brief grammar introduction. Today we're talking about adverbs, but we're not talking about the normal use of adverbs. That's the stuff that you should have done in level 1, in level 2, or in your high school if you tested right into level 3. We're going to be looking at a few different uses of adverbs, specifically time conjunctions, quite, and we're going to look at how it's used with both a noun and an adjective, and then something called adverbs of comment. That's a lot to handle, I know, and the practice and the quiz section for this grammar point are divided up into different sections, but the introduction is all together. So let's go ahead and get started. The story that we are going to use, or the article that we're going to use, talks about a woman fighting off a tiger to save the family's goat. Now, we're looking for those three things that I mentioned before. First, time conjunctions, then quite, and finally, adverbs that express an opinion. Okay, so please take a moment to read this if you haven't already. You can pause the video if you like. And then let's go down here and see what we can do. Okay? Let's look first for the time conjunctions. Okay? So we have while, before, and after. But the key to these is to look at what follows them. Okay? What follows this first while? Okay? A verb with ing. The second one, though, is followed by a subject verb. This one, subject verb. We're going to get that out of there, don't worry. Subject, verb, and ing. Okay? So let's go ahead and do this. We've got subject plus verb. Now the question is, what's the difference between some of these, or between these two uses? And really, they make the same thing. They have the same meaning. Okay, so while cooking dinner, you could say. Then before going back inside, before she went back inside. Okay, but the key really is that when you use it with a subject and a verb, you are creating what's called a subordinate clause, and that just means a part of a sentence. And what it ultimately creates is a complex sentence. And those things are important for both your IELTS and MSAT writing sections. So you want to make sure that you practice, especially with using the subject and the verb after, before, while, and after. All right? Now we're going to take a look at quite. And we've got quite before an adjective and before a noun. So there are our examples of quite, okay? And we have two different colors here. We've got the blue and the salmon color, okay? The first one, quite strange. So there's your adjective, and we just put quite directly before it. Like this, quite functions almost exactly like the word very. Try it. Saw the family goat acting quite strange. Saw the family goat acting very strange. Same. Quite frightened and was very frightened. Same thing. Was probably quite hungry, was probably very hungry. There's a little difference in meaning between very and quite there, but you don't need to focus on it. What you do want to focus on is the difference between quite before an adjective and quite before a noun or a noun phrase. A large cut, a loud noise. What's the noun in these? That's right, it's noise here and cut here. This is an adjective, that's an article, adjective, and article. Okay, so let's go down here. So what is the difference in the way the two forms of quite are used? What always comes between quite and the noun? Okay. you don't necessarily have to have an adjective, but often you will have an adjective as well. All right, let's take a look at our adverbs then. So here are our 4 adverbs. Okay, we're going to focus on the adverbs of comment first. An adverb of comment is an adverb that doesn't describe one particular thing. Rather, it gives someone's opinion, usually about the sentence as a whole. So let's look at these two. The first one. We've got the word incredibly, and then down here we've got amazingly. Those words are very similar, but they're used in different ways. This one, incredibly, is describing how she fought a tiger. But this one, amazingly, is describing the entire sentence. It's not describing how she began to beat the tiger. It's looking at a larger chunk of the sentence. Again, with unsurprisingly, that word is describing the entire sentence about how the poor goat did not survive. Okay? Now, this one is a little bit trickier because you've got probably. Now, we could be using probably to talk about the entire thing, but really it's focused more on the tiger being quite hungry right there, which makes it a normal adverb. But it's not really something that you need to focus on too much. Just make sure that you recognize that when we have adverbs that are not connected directly to a phrase, we should have commas around them. Or if they come at the beginning, at the end of a sentence, usually before them. Okay? And we've got commas. That was a lot of information, and if you feel like it's too much right now, don't worry. Go and do the practice. The practice activities have been divided up into 2 sections, and I think you'll find that this isn't really that hard. Okay? If you have any questions, of course, ask your teacher. Good luck.